ready for it.
Thrilled for it.
Presenting Franks with Turbo Booster Jet Engine.
Nexa.
All right, fasten your seatbelts, buckle up. It could be a long night tonight. The weather is potentially turbulent, but it is the playoff before the playoffs. Mumbai Indians, Delhi Capitals, a game of great significance and high stakes at the Wankhede Stadium. Thankfully, the weather has stayed good in this lovely city of Mumbai, and we have an on-time toss, which to our great surprise was attended by not by Akshar Patel, but by Faf du Plessis, because the DC captain is down with the flu. So we already have plenty to discuss. On Nexa presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. Dustin is back after enjoying a day off. We can't not have him off.
I was here yesterday.
Oh, sorry. Tom is back after enjoying a day off. I can't not have you on a KL Rahul game.
You don't have any options.
Yes. And reunited for the first time since the IPL final last year, if I remember correctly, on the Cricket for Couch, Varun Aaron and Tom Moody.
Thanks,
what a lovely combination.
Good to be back with Tom. Yeah. Miss Tom actually. And miss Tom, and I also miss our little game we played last year.
How did you...
Does Tom miss it though?
Yeah, that was fun.
I think you need to elaborate after that.
No, he's not. There's no innuendos there. Yeah. This is just we added a little more spice last year. At least we thought we were adding it.
Yeah.
The leaderboard and predictions and whatnot. And Mr. Moody prevailed because he's a soothsayer when it comes to this league and this format.
Beautifully put.
Thank you, Tom. And you can perhaps just set this game for us straight up and tell us who comes into this as favourites now that Delhi have won the toss and are deciding to bowl first. Is it a significant toss result with the weather around and whatnot, Tom?
Yeah, that's definitely an advantage. But, at the toss, which you've already made mention, the loss of the captain, Akshar Patel, is a massive miss for them, as a genuine impact player with bat and ball. And you look at the form of both of these teams as well. DC have lost their way the second half of this season, where Mumbai have found their way.
Yes.
So they're two different contrasting situations. I can't, regardless of the toss, I can't see Mumbai losing tonight.
Oh, okay. How big a miss is Akshar?
Huge miss, especially at the Wankhede Stadium. You need a spinner who can attack the stumps. Akshar is a big miss. Kuldeep, again, one of those bowlers who can get you wickets, but he needs somebody to hold it tight from the other end. So Akshar is going to be missed tonight, also with the bat.
You agree with Tom that this is MI's game? This is their first game after the resumption, so it's been a while. Their last game was a defeat to the Gujarat Titans, who perhaps showed us that Mumbai can, even on a hot streak, be beaten at the Wankhede.
More than anything, I feel Mumbai has been here so many times and done it, because they've always, almost like a golf handicap, given all the other teams a start, and then they go on and have this flourish towards the back end of the season and take that momentum into the playoffs. So I would say Mumbai has been here, done that, and they would go into this game without any doubts. DC, on the other hand, a lot of doubts after being beaten by 10 wickets in the previous game.
They have problems, DC, and you've dug deep into some of them as well.
I have, but it is a big toss to win. I'm going to crib off our colleague Siddharth Monga's excellent tactics piece and tell you that over the last 5 years, at night games at the Wankhede, it's 1.8 to 1 in favour of the side batting second. So it's the most skewed among all venues for night games. Dew comes into effect at times. So it's a really big toss to win. So that is in DC's favour.
It's been a cool day with some rain around. So I wonder if Dew will have as much of a part to play today as other days. But regardless, you'd rather be chasing, at least to give you the best possible chance.
Yeah, and especially if there are rain interruptions, then that tends to favour the side chasing. So
I mean, what a dramatic game we had. You were there at that MIGT game, weren't you? It was extraordinary how that game ebbed and flowed with one team behind and ahead on the DLS par. For now, let's hope rain stays clear. And we also must recall that we have an additional 60 minutes to get a result in today, which is actually not come as a welcome bit of news or a change to all the franchises. We love it because it at least tries to give us the best chance of a result without rain. But there has been some tweaks made, and some significant tweaks now that we're at the business end with the playoffs approaching. Now 2 hours of extra time available to complete the remaining league games starting today. The extra time allowance has gone up by 60 minutes, and that is because of the early onset of monsoon in the country. Full 20 overs game can therefore start as late as 9:30 this evening. And after for a minimum of 5 overs, the cut-off time for an evening game is 4 minutes before midnight. Which is why I said it could be a long night. So buckle up and be ready. Now, some responses come through from the league. I think Venki Mysore was one representative of the franchise saying it should have been there in place when the restart happened. We know Parjindal has said this game should be moved out, like the Lucknow Sunrisers game, the RCB Sunrisers game. Do you understand the grievances of some of the other franchises?
Totally get it. Totally understand it. What you want in any tournament is consistency. And we had an unexpected halt to this tournament, which was out of the league's control. Once it's reset, if they felt that venues needed to be changed, time frames needed to be changed, all these things, they needed to bundle it up all at once, get the approval of all the franchises and announce it. But to do it in a staggered fashion is probably understandable. You've got some franchises saying, well, hang on a sec here, this is, changing things on the move, which isn't ideal.
I mean, I to some degree can empathize with the administrators. Weather is not in anyone's control. And I recall when the revised schedule came out, I checked the Bengaluru forecast, it was not as bad. And I don't know if this week where city is completely waterlogged and whatnot, at least they've been able to salvage one game, if not two. Do you feel like this was, this was a situation beyond their control, or regardless, you then can't change it because already some teams have been affected? So then you just have to suck it up and have the same rules for everyone.
I agree with what Tom is saying, but on the other hand, you're going to have to think of the fans, right? Because they wait for a whole year for the IPL to come, and then there's obviously a border skirmish, and then that leads to bad weather. So this IPL, there were so many unforeseen issues which nobody could have thought of. So the BCCI is trying to do what's best to at least get a few games, think of the fans, get a few games in, and not have a lot of games which are washed off. Because when you plan this tournament, you think the tournament is going to end at some stage before the monsoon. But when we have a 1 week delay and the monsoon hits, you just want to get few games in and think of the fans and maybe just empathize with the fans more than anything else.
The fans and the economy. I mean, you've got to understand that the IPL is now a significant contributor to the Indian economy. There are lots of people whose livelihoods depend on the success of this tournament. The last thing you want is games being rained out. I totally get that. Okay, you can say retrospectively they should have introduced these rules right at the start. But having not done that, I don't think you then say, oh, that means we just stick with it. I mean, we want sometimes administrators to be flexible. And in this case, they've shown that they've been flexible. Again, I get that, yes, franchises would say, well, why not have this from the start? And they have the right to maybe say that. But given that one game was washed out, I think it's actually okay to then say, okay, let's try and figure something out to make sure it doesn't happen again.
But there's an economy within the economy, and that is the franchise themselves. If that affects them qualifying, that's a significant, blow to that franchise and their quest to be champions and what the financial gains that the franchise get from being successful in this season.
Like KKR, for instance. They've been, that game has been washed out, which has eliminated their prospects of a qualification.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing I can say here is to add, when the revised fixtures came out, one of the things we thought of even then, so it's not hindsight wisdom, was perhaps it's a bit adventurous to be still trying to play at 6 venues. Maybe you could have taken some more modest options and said, let's do 3 venues or 4 venues, clear completely of the weather, and let's try and have as many games there. Because you already removed Chennai and Hyderabad as venues because of the rains. Could have done so for Bengaluru.
I think that was the initial talk, to just have everything in the south, but then suddenly the monsoons hit. So like I said, there have been so many unforeseen events that BCCI have tried their best to salvage whatever's left of the tournament.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, the first sentiment we had was because of the tensions at the border that we'll avoid venues in the north. So we'll play in the south. Then comes the monsoon in the south, and you're suddenly, and it's hit Mumbai in May as well. From the last 2 or 3 years that I can recall, we've not had such an early monsoon.
And and there's also the economy of each stadium. I mean, stadium staff, everybody. So you want to try and spread that around. Again, there's a lot of moving parts, which is why I feel like maybe we can cut the BCCI some slack, or the IPL Governing Council rather, because it's not been it's been extraordinary circumstances, and sometimes you have to kind of figure that out on the move. Although I agree it's not ideal for the franchises affected.
On a finishing note, wouldn't you agree though, regardless, I can understand that some of the franchise might feel less happy about it than others, but it's a long league. And if you've done the heavy lifting at the start of the league, if you won enough games, I don't think there can be too much argument about the top 4. Whether MI go through, whether DC go through.
100%. My only point is the rules are the rules.
Yes.
And, I've been involved in tournaments outside of this tournament where they have made changes on the move, and it has gone down like a lead balloon. Just because you start off knowing what the rules are, you play according to those rules, and suddenly, because of unforeseen circumstances, the whole game's changed.
Yeah. I have a suggestion from Premier League football, which is if we'd have no results, they should relocate games and club it for a time later in the league because it's such a long league. And then you can actually squeeze in those games at some point down the league. Either you add a double header or you play it at some point later. Just to make sure that you get every game of those 74, you get yourself a result. If you have to change a venue there.
Then India has a test series coming up. So that's another...
Yeah, but I'm saying within the window of the IPL.
Yeah.
Because it's not only about RCB, KKR, there's the called off game, which we have rescheduled. So we set a bit of an example there. Otherwise, Punjab DC should ideally be a split game. That's one game less. So they have shown indications of replaying games. And Premier League football's primary concern is we should have all the games. But you have a whole year to try and figure it out. Maybe that's something they can look at.
For sure.
Okay. On that note, let's focus our attention to the game. Delhi Capitals. Let's have a look at their team before we get into the problems that have plagued it. And Mukesh Kumar is back. Now, that is something we were wondering in the last game. T. Natarajan curiously bowled with the new ball in the last game against GT. Mukesh is back there. Now, Madhav Tiwari also gets a game. In fact, it will be his first game this season. We'll just come to the absence, of course, of Akshar Patel, quite prominent. And we wonder what kind of team they'll set up with. KL Rahul, looking for him?
Impact subs.
Impact bench.
So he's also clearly, I think, maybe...
KL Rahul also has the flu.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. So it's something which is going around the Delhi camp.
All right. Now, is seam bowling all-rounder Madhav Tiwari from Madhya Pradesh. And that's a pretty big first game to get. Dushmanta Chamira is there as well. He was brought in as the impact sub. But Mukesh for Natarajan. You were critical of the use of Natarajan in that last game.
And I'm surprised Natarajan's not playing in this game, purely because one thing you do need at Wankhede Stadium is defensive skills. And he's one of the best in India with regards to his ability to close games out, finish power plays, all those sort of real defensive overs. He's one of your better options. So, is Natarajan also in the casualty of the flu, or is this a tactical move, thinking that Mukesh is more of a swing bowler, because it does swing also at Wankhede. They're wanting that option as having someone that can swing the ball in their power play.
Yeah, Natarajan, I met him at the gym today, so he definitely doesn't have the flu.
Okay.
So they've definitely...
Well, you might have it now.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, no, he's been dropped, and I think I agree with Tom, because you would want to play Natarajan, number one, for defensive skills, and number two, if Rohit Sharma gets going and you have two left-arm seamers bowling against him, you have more options. So definitely a big miss.
It's also the absence of Mitch Stark. I wonder what kind of bowling they want at their disposal. Whether a spinner less. Now, Akshar Patel bowls power play, he's not there today. So do you need more multi-phase bowlers for today?
Mukesh Kumar has had a long run in the IPL this year, and it hasn't been good. And I would say Natarajan has played a test match for India. It's not like he can't bowl with a new ball, he can. But maybe towards the back end, and obviously his defensive skills are way better.
Okay, let's go deeper into Delhi's problems. Dustin, you've dug it up. There's a batting side to it, and there's a bowling side to it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a big change between the first 6 games and then the last 6 games. They won 5 of the first 6 and then just 1 of the last 6. And I mean, a lot of people have talked about Delhi's top order and how, things have gone wrong there. But the fact is the top order was always an issue for DC. Where things have changed is actually in the middle overs and then at the death. Where in the first 6 games, they were very good through the middle overs and the death. And that's where things have fallen off. And the run rate has fallen off despite them not actually losing any more wickets. They've lost more or less the same number of wickets in the power play and middle overs, but they're just not being able to accelerate through those middle overs and death the way they were in the first 6 games. So that's been the big change. And I mean, I've just dug up some of the reasons for that possibly. One is Stubbs had an excellent strike rate in the middle overs as well as the death. His death strike rate is still very high now, but he's had enough balls to face. 55 balls for a middle order player's enough game. That's about 10 balls per game that he's got.
He's rebuilding in that phase though, in a number of occasions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as I said, Tom, the number of wickets they've lost, they were losing 2 wickets in the power play on average even before. And what he was doing before was going hard, even though they were losing maybe a couple of wickets early. Faf has had a major issue versus spin in the middle overs, which has kind of been exposed a little. Rahul was very good in the middle overs in the first phase. He still got a lot of runs in the middle overs in the last 6 games, but not the same kind of strike rate. Ashutosh is another player who had such a good start to the season, but back half of the season it's just not been as impactful. There have been a few games where he's had the chance to give DC a big finish and not quite done that. So I don't know if that's a change in DC's thinking. Is it a loss of form? Is it confidence maybe just with a number of losses piling up?
I think they've just played musical chairs with the openers. They've changed so many openers. Even with Karun Nair, he came in with a really good 89. Then he got run out in the next match, and then he got a 30. And then they changed his batting order. You can't change your batting order so many times up and down. You just don't have role clarity. I know KL Rahul wanted to open from the start of the tournament. He wasn't given that slot, and the moment they made him open, he scores 100. Also, I don't think they've really reused Vipraj Nigam well enough. With the bat and with the ball. He was one of those players who would always give them those crucial breakthroughs, get the big players out, and with the bat he was obviously striking at above 200, which they didn't make enough use of him.
I'm also noticing that on this losing streak that they've had, with the exception of the MI game which started it all and the super over, they've been batting first in all of them. It seems like they're a team that are happier to chase when they know what they need to get. But they also reached a phase, if I remember correctly, when they suddenly decided to just be a little cheeky, try and give themselves a 7th bowler and put Ashutosh on the bench. It made the batting first team look light, and then you impacted them 3 or 4 times. Do you sense they paid the price by complicating things when they didn't need to?
I think that does definitely play on the mind of the batting group, and I agree with Varun in that just the musical chairs in their batting order has created a loss of confidence and uncertainty in the dressing room, and that then filters to what happens on the field, and all those things, that numbers that Dustin came up with, the reflection of the first half versus the second half, is a reflection of short of confidence. Stubbs is probably keeping his gun in the holster because he's worried that if I get out, because of the conversations we've had around team meetings and discussions about being more responsible, being there at the end, all those sort of cliche things, which, if anything, are roadblocks for players. They become mental roadblocks. Your best players play with freedom. They've got pure clarity and they just play on instinct. See the ball, hit the ball in that situation.
I've got another one for you. This I've been thinking about for a while. You can weigh in on it. On that, it all started with the MI game, which was such a pivotal game for both teams. It was Delhi's first loss. It was MI needing to win. Otherwise, it would have been 1 win in 5 or 1 win in 6. Now, Karun Nair played that game and absolutely was the story of the tournament. He gets 89 of 40. He comes in for Faf du Plessis. Then you're saying, oh, this is batter in form. We're going to play him. But all of a sudden, after that, you dropped Fraser McGurk. It took a while for Faf to come back. But once all your pieces started coming together, it seems like you were unable to drop anybody and yet unable to find the best position for a number of your players. That's when Karun started opening one game, Porel up and down, KL now has come up, and now Karun's even been left out. Can it sometimes happen that a good performance can cause major confusion when it comes to selection?
Karun Nair is a very fine player. There's no doubting that. And his form's been phenomenal outside of the IPL. His domestic form has been incredible, record-breaking. But the bottom line is his career IPL is very modest. So to react on the back of one off performance and then that have a domino effect on everything else you do, to me is the flaw in the plan. Yes, I know that he came in as a replacement because they needed a replacement, but you only have to look at the history of what he has done in IPL. His strike rate is modest, his average is modest. He's been to many franchises and hasn't really nailed it. So you're asking for a miracle from someone that hasn't done it historically.
It's a funny one. It's not his fault, I'm saying here, but you also now dropped him in the last 2 games. Do you need to be ruthless sometimes and say, all right, if I'm playing Karun, then I have to get rid of Porel, or then I have to... It just seems like the entire batting started getting confused when they actually were a team in a pretty good position.
But to be fair, I mean, Fraser McGurk was not dropped just because Karun Nair came in. He had a fair run and wasn't performing, and that was the player who made way. So it's not like this was a reaction only to Karun. A lot of it happened because JFM was left out.
But
and
it
then you
left,
had to
it
find
left
another
confusion
opener.
in roles. Now, they missed impact from Fraser McGurk, but they suddenly had 4 guys who batted similar.
It did leave a lot of confusion with roles, but then if you were in doubt about your openers, you have one of the best opening batsmen in T20 cricket in your team. You got KL Rahul there. The first thing they should have done was when they're in doubt, okay, who do we open with? Let's get KL Rahul to open. That's where we know he's really good at. So that would have, again, brought in a lot of stability in the middle order. I think they just did it too late, getting KL Rahul to open.
I've got another point. In the Fraser McGurk, I'm not defending his form at all, but they won their first 3 games in a row.
That's right, first 4.
First 4 games in a row. Fraser McGurk got dropped after the 3rd game.
After the 5th game.
Fifth game.
Sorry,
Fifth game.
6th game.
Oh, okay.
After
Sorry.
RCB.
I thought-
But they
I
had
thought it was-
won 5 of those. So they had been winning despite his performance.
After the 4th game, Faf
Yeah.
was injured.
Yeah.
So I think he got 2 more games.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the Faf got injured. But to me, their thinking was very clear at the beginning, and that's fine. If they felt that KL Rahul was an important member in the middle order because they were concerned about the middle order, that was their thinking. Certainly our thinking here, I think collectively, is that they're a better side with KL Rahul opening the batting because they've still got the stability in the middle order, because they've got a very, very fine player in Axar. He's not playing today. And they've also got Tristan Stubbs, who's one of the absolute stars of the future.
And they've underutilized Ashutosh and Vipraj. So
Yes,
they have
yeah,
resources.
they do.
We have resources, right? That's the batting conversation. They'd be really relieved just looking at their track record that they're chasing. Delhi, they seem to be a better team doing that, and they won this toss. Let's confirm the MI 11 and just see if any surprises there. Mitch Santner returns, and he will be available even if MI do make the playoffs. Corbin Bosch was a more than a capable deputy for him, but the New Zealand white ball captain is back now. So that's the only change from the team in their first game after resumption. Bosch is indeed on the bench, but this is the batting first 11, so they can pick between Ashwini and Karan Sharma, who they want with the ball later on. Right, that's the MI team. I guess no major surprises.
The only thing there is that given the weather, given the potential of a shortened game, the dew factor, they could have potentially not named Santner in that batting 11 and just named 3 overseas players and then decided whether it's Bosch or Santner that goes into the team if they need the batting, or do they feel that the spinner's not going to be able to, grip the ball correctly? He's not going to get any turns. It's just going to skid on. So it just gives them a little bit more flexibility. That's the thing that stood out for me looking at their team.
I think there's just one left-hander in that team, though, in Porrell now, isn't there? I guess Axar is not playing today, but they may not have known that.
But they've got a lot of batters, right-hand batters that bat left-handed.
Are you
try to bowl to Surya Kumar Yadav.
I mean, the spinners did pretty well in the reverse fixture, both Karn and Mitch Santner.
Yes, they
so that
turned the
might be a
game.
point. Also, they have 4 seamers anyway. If Ashwani does come in, that'll give MI 4
I'm just
seamers.
throwing it
or
out
5
there.
seamers. Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there.
It's a fair point.
Are
yeah.
you looking at playing a playoff team as well? Santner has been missing for a few games, and you are going to lose Bosch. You will also lose Rickleton and Jacks, but get him back in.
I think Santner's a great cricketer. So I just thought I'd throw that out for point of discussion.
Of course.
And Santner also gives you something with the bat as well. It's not like...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
All right. On that note, let's talk.
Tom was just saying that he should be on the bench, by the way, not that he should be dropped.
None of us can. we love what Tom brings. And I'm sitting the furthest away from him, so I'm fine. Delhi Capitals are bowling first. And it's not just been about the confusion with the batting and the change in batting positions. Bowling has also become a bit of a concern. Dustin,
Yeah, I mean, they've
take it
got
up.
to start taking wickets because the wickets have massively dried up for DC. In the first 6 games, again, they were taking wickets in the power play, and then in the middle overs, they were actually doing really well. They took 18 wickets in 6 games in the middle overs. That's just dropped off a cliff almost. I mean, just 1.6 wickets in the middle overs. So they've only got 9 wickets in 5 games in the middle overs. I mean, in the last game, they didn't get any wickets. And then as a result of that, of course, the economy in the middle overs and depth will naturally rise against you if you're not getting wickets. A huge part of that has been obviously Kuldeep Yadav, just 1 wicket in his last 5 innings, 10 in the first 6 games. Stark obviously isn't playing anymore. The other thing, I think Varun was talking about using Vipraj, which they used well in the first phase, and he got those wickets in the power play and middle, but haven't been using him much. The other thing which we don't have there, but Axar has bowled a lot more balls in the power play in the last 6 games. So I think he bowled 9 overs in the last 5 innings. And while Axar is a very good defensive bowler and his economy rate has been fine, he's not a wicket taker. So feels like they've not gone for wickets in the power play maybe.
But it's an interesting point you make there about Aksa. He is a very good defensive bowler, but that's what Kuldeep's been missing in those middle overs in the second half. That's why those
100%,
stats
yeah.
have fallen off a cliff, is because any quality wrist spinner or any quality bowler for that matter, you need to work in partnerships. And if you've got that operating at the other end, Kuldeep becomes so much more dangerous and he becomes a wicket-taking threat. But if teams know that they're locking in 10 and over at one end and doing it without breaking a sweat, they can sit on Kuldeep and be a little bit more careful with their risk options, and therefore, it makes it difficult for him to have the impact.
And those 5 wickets you see of Stark have been in one game.
Yeah.
So Stark through the season, I mean, he's a really good new ball bowler, but the Jaitley Stadium's wicket does not suit him because there's no bounce whatsoever, and Stark is not a hit the deck bowler, so he's not going to get even that iota of movement off the wicket. It just slides onto the bat nicely. So Stark was doing well in Vizag when they were playing, but the moment they came to Firozshah Court, to Delhi, it just was no returns.
So who do you think are the wicket-taking options today? Because there's no Stark, there's no Akshar either. Who do you see, maybe being somebody who can take a couple of early wickets for them? Mukesh is, of course, there, but...
Mukesh has to get it right. He hasn't got it right this season, but he'll have to get it right today. Again, he's going to have some conditions which are going to help him. With the weather is really heavy. There's going to be some moisture on the wicket. That wicket, when they were showing us that wicket, there was that maroonish tinge on a red soil wicket, which shows that there's some moisture on the wicket.
Let me turn that for you as well. If you need a partner for Kuldeep to bowl defensively to emphasize his abilities, is Mukesh in the team for that? Is he going to bowl middle? And maybe Chamira surely needs to take the new ball. I was surprised that Chamira bowled middle and Natarajan new ball last time.
Yeah, we were all surprised with that. Yeah, I think number one priority is wickets in the first 6 overs.
All right, just hold that thought, because I will ask Tom to go detailed into wickets in the first 6. Next up presents Power Play Conversations. All right, Tom, number one priority, wickets up top.
Well, they need wickets in the power play to set up those middle overs. And we know, particularly at one caddy, how important it is to make sure that you do have an impact in your first 10 overs taking wickets, because the second 10 overs, the game can absolutely run away from you if you don't have, wickets in hand.
This matchup, I wonder if they've seen it. 6 dismissal, Dushmanta Chamira against Rohit Sharma, 11 innings, average 6.3. Run a ball.
He'll be opening the bowling.
Hopefully, that's what we thought last game, but he didn't open the bowling. So yeah, Delhi have been making some very obviously weird choices. I hope they don't make them today, because like Tom said, if you have wickets in hand on the small Wankhede stadium, you're just going to go for a lot towards the back end.
This is the one game where they didn't want to miss Akshar though, because the other great matchup they had was Akshar to Sky, where Sky goes at less than 100 or something against Akshar. So that's a big miss for them.
Right, Chamira's presumably new ball. Who with him?
Mustafizur, I would say.
I'd go Mukesh.
Mustafizur, Mukesh.
I'm saying Mustafizur just because of Rohit Sharma.
Okay.
And it looks like Mukesh.
Maybe an over of wrist spin in the power play, Vipraj in the power play, or
Not Vipraj, because they've not shown any. I mean,
But they give him the ball
trust in him
before
at
they
all.
give it to Kuldeep.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, the ball swings there, and it's only going to swing for a short period of time. So get your bowlers on that can take advantage of the ball moving in the air.
Right. Well, Ryan Rickleton and Rohit Sharma are out there. MI win today. Playoffs race is done. At least the top 4 is done. We still have the significant matter of deciding 1 and 2 versus 3 and 4. But Delhi Capitals have got to play this game like a final. Mukesh Kumar has ball in hand. First over to him and not to Dushmanta Chamira. On time start. Hopefully weather stays clear. Got everything of note from these 3 wise men. Now let's get predictions. Tom Moody.
Mumbai Indians are going to score 191.
191. All right. Varun Aaron.
Mumbai Indians are going to score 175.
Oh, are you going Delhi Capitals today?
No, it's going to be a tight game, because I'm hoping they're going to bowl well and get some early wickets, because there's definitely moisture.
191, 175. Dustin?
I'm going to say Mumbai Indians score at 12 runs and over. I don't know how many overs they'll play, so 12 runs and over.
What are you saying? We're going to get like rain in the 13th over or something?
I don't know, but I'm just saying they'll score at 12
So
and
you're
over.
saying 240.
Yeah, 240.
240.
Yeah.
Okay, Dustin.
That coffee's far too strong.
Yeah, this 30 minutes you've been talking so much sense.
Anyway, yeah.
You've done something outrageous at the end. Yeah. All right.
Roll the dice.
Okay, on that note, so 191, 175, 240. Go for a nice, neat 200.
Somewhere in the middle.
200 is lovely. Let's see how this game stands at halftime. Big stakes game that it is. Join us for the conversation on Next Up Presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout.
Ready for it.
Thrilled for it.
Presenting France with Turbo Booster Jet Engine.
Nexa.